Let's get started diving into how to stay ready this season. All right, so slide number one is establish an appropriate warm-up routine. So this is just 4 examples that I put out there for you guys. There's many examples of ways to do things. Okay, this is just a snippet or an idea, right? So also, if you guys want a copy of the card deck, email me and I'll send you a copy of the presentation, but it'll also be up on YouTube, of course, and then you can take screenshots or whatever you want to do. But going back to the appropriate warm-up routine, right? We could do some arm circles, jogging, sprints, J-bands, resistant tubing, walking lunge with a twist. It's really a good activator for your lower half and preparing yourself to pitch more often. So activating your muscle groups, right, to warm up, it really reduces the risk of injury and improves your performance. So nobody really would want to go to the mound or pitch an activity without having done some sort of stimulation or warm up, right? Foam roll is another good one that you guys could look at using. So there's many ways to branch this out, but rule number one is establish an appropriate warm-up routine for yourself. And then number two, keep playing catch 4 to 5 times a week. So a lot of things that I see, not necessarily the youth sector, but sometimes the high school guys will, I think, not throw enough. Okay, and I know that if you're in a warm weather state and you're throwing year round, we'll talk about that a little bit as we go on to the card decks. But if you're in a warm weather state, I would encourage maybe more rest days involved and monitor your throwing procedures a little bit more. If you're in a cold weather state, I would say try to keep playing catch 4 to 5 times a week. Keeps your arm active, builds endurance, and then maintain throwing mechanics and arm health. Staying active in your throwing and repetitiveness builds up the endurance in the shoulder, right? So if we're one day on, one day off, I mean, it's okay, but try to build up a routine. And remember that not all reps need to be as hard as you can. Comfort throwing is going to be or play a crucial role into your arm health. Not everything needs to be 100%. I know I didn't really understand this as a young player, and I really did a lot of damage to myself trying to throw as hard as I could, as often as I could. And being from California, it was very competitive in the 90s, 80s and 90s. And that's just where I grew up and the time frame I did. So what I'm saying to you guys is sometimes taking a step back if you're in warm weather, and then maybe increasing your throws if you're in cold weather states. So something to consider there. Okay. Number 3, throw a short box spool pen once a week. So one thing I like to do with the college guys is I tell them to try to touch the mound a little bit every day, whether that's just working on mechanics or doing something on the mound to keep themselves familiar with the shape. Okay, sometimes at younger ages, we're only maybe getting on the mound once or twice a week, but touching the mound and familiarizing the mound is going to be crucial, important. So going back to the short box, a short box is if you bring the catcher up and throw at a shorter, more controlled distance, right, and take the pressure off the arm to throw at the normal distance, right, and it'll help with arm speed and accuracy and some other things for feel, right? So it doesn't have to be going into a bullpen and throwing 30 pitches at your max effort. That's not necessary. Something to consider is building in a short box routine within your weekly routine. All right, as we go on to number 4, throw a light flat ground bullpen per week. Something I did often in my routine as a baseball player was throw flat ground bullpens. Did them once, twice a week, maybe sometimes 4 days a week as I got older and in college and in semi-professional baseball and so on. Throw more often flat grounds just to keep spinning and touching my pitches, right? Help reinforce proper mechanics and control of your pitches. And something that a routine I put up on the slide deck here for you guys, Monday is a good for youth ball guys, for travel ball guys. Monday is a good rest and recovery day. And when I say recovery, I mean, maybe looking at an active recovery, some yoga, or doing some recovery movements that would maintain your health and position and help you come back to the field a little bit faster and feeling a little bit more refreshed. If you need to know more about the recovery sessions or workouts, I have those on the YouTube channel for you guys to view and look at. Okay. Tuesday would be a light catch, a flat ground, bullpen, team practice, recovery session. Then Wednesday would be a normal bullpen for 30 or so pitches, depending on what you want to accomplish, then going into a recovery session. And then Thursday would be a long toss to comfort day, and then recovery and cardio, etc. So you can start to map out your weeks. And as a baseball coach, you might have some sort of weekly routine for your guys as well, and that'll be helpful for them. One thing I do know as a coach, something I learned over the years, is that athletes really want to be coached. They don't want to figure things. That's not the right thing. They do want to figure things out, but they really kind of want to be led. Okay. And they enjoy being led. Give me things to do, I'll do them, and then monitor the progress as they go along. And I do enjoy guys having conversations with the fellas and growing their pitching IQ on this. And so hopefully you guys will experience the same as you go on coaching your teams, okay, at whatever level. All right, let's go on to the next slide deck. Number 5, pitch off the mound at least 2 days a week, right? And that goes back to my previous conversation or topic, was to feel the mound out more often. And you don't have to have high intent bullpens every time you touch the mound, right? But as a baseball pitcher, getting more familiar, more reps on the mound is going to be helpful in your competition and playing. Okay. Again, it's the mound's proper elevation, maintaining muscle memory, adjusting mechanics for game situations. So it's a really good practice to get on the mound a little bit more often, maybe than not. I know as a pitching instructor to the private sector, sometimes I'm the only bullpen that these kids get before their games on the weekends. So, and I always tell them, can you try to get some more mound time on Thursday if they're with me on Tuesday? Just a little bit more lighter touches. It doesn't have to be a lot of volume, but just familiarizing themselves with the mound a little bit more. Okay. Moving on to number 6, play long toss catch at least 2 times a week. This is something at the collegiate level that I really, really stress, is playing long toss as often as you can, while maintaining a healthy presence in your arm and shoulder. I really am a firm believer of building up throwing velocities through throwing, even though I do other things as well. But I feel like if you want to get stronger at throwing, then throw a lot more comfortably and sometimes a little more aggressively, depending on the day and how your arm feels. Okay. And we'll cover that too. Long toss helps build arm strength and increase throwing distance gradually and safely, which is essential for building endurance without risking injury. Okay. Long toss is a proven thing over time in baseball to build up arm strength and endurance. Okay. So this is something for youth teams that I feel like you guys would really want to put in to your practice sessions. Okay. Have them stretch out to 120 feet plus a couple of times a week. It's not going to be hurtful. Okay. Or it shouldn't be anyways. But I want to ask your players how they're feeling or how their arm is, and do an arm check before practice sessions is going to be helpful too, because you don't want to run a guy into the ground that you need to perform for you down the road. Okay. All right, next slide deck, next slide, number 7, keep track of your distance and progress through your throwing. Okay, so this is kind of like a game-related, self-game-related position that you can put yourself into. I know when I was still training and pitching, marking my throwing distances and how far was I getting, am I getting any better at long toss or throwing in general. And so some things you can do is set measurable goals for yourself, use mobile app or fitness trackers for this, maintain logs, and then use visual progress charts if you have something that you're digitally recording your numbers in. And so that'll give you some good feedback on how you're progressing through your training through throwing. Okay. All right, let's move on to the next slide. And number 8, listen to your arm and build in comfort throwing days, right? So number one thing for injury is overuse, okay? And so it's hard to blend everything. Do I throw more or do I throw less? And again, that goes back to how you're feeling on any given day as far as the athlete goes, and then how much do they do during the week, and then how are their rest days. And then also something to consider is, do they play multiple sports, right? Do they play basketball? Do they play football? Do they take time off away from baseball? If they do, then you can probably build in more throwing days, more comfort throwing days. When you're playing catch, not every throw needs to be at 100%, right? Just throwing and lightly jogging the arm, just like you would going for a running jog, and then just conditioning yourself, your lungs, your body to handle that endurance. The arm works the same way. We just keep throwing a little bit and then keep stretching it out. And then over time, your conditioning goes up, right? And then I also put in the rest and recovery is very important. You'll hear that a lot from me. Okay, recover. I know something at a younger ages that we didn't know this stuff back in the day. We didn't have recovery workouts. We didn't have recovery routines. We threw a ball, we pitched a game, and then we got done, and then that was it. We might do a little icing, and then took a day off, or we came back the next day. It just depends on what the game needed from us at that time. Okay, so pay close attention to soreness and fatigue. Incorporate recovery days with light throwing and rest to ensure long-term arm health and consistent performance. Okay, so let's move on to number 9. Number 9, practice your pickoff moves 2 to 3 times a week. I feel like this is somewhat of a lost art, especially in the youth sector, but 9 through 14 even, that the pickoff moves almost become like a non-thought process. But at the collegiate level, and the high school level, this really needs to be a real thing that they're able to do in controlling the running game. The runners are your responsibility as a baseball pitcher. So you want to make sure that you're sharp in your ability to control the running game and keep runners in check, right? So rehearsing this regularly and focusing on quick footwork and all these things will help you become better at controlling the running game, and then help you hopefully eliminate some of these runners that are getting into your way, right? Okay, so let's move on to number 10. Okay, practice fielding your position and backing up bases. Again, another lost component, I feel like, especially in the youth side, is where do we go once the ball's hit? Understanding that part of the game is going to be important down the road. If there's a runner at second or first and there's a ball hit to the outfield, we might want to be backing up third base or home plate. Okay, just depending on the hit. You guys will understand that. And then also doing PFPs, comebackers, and then working on bunt coverages a little bit. At the youth side, I would say work to get the out, right? And we're doing that at the higher levels as well. But what I mean by get the out is can get the out at first base, then just take the out anywhere you can, right? And then work on sharpening your defensive skills on fielding bunt coverages, and then understanding that scheme a little bit more will be helpful. And again, I'm talking to everyone, but the youth sector, I feel like this might get ignored a little bit. So little league coaches, you might want to build in some of this type of practice into your normal practice routines with your hitting and fielding and all that with your baseball pitchers. I think will be helpful. Okay. All right, let's move on to the next slide. Establish a solid mental approach for practice and game. What do I mean by solid mental approach? I think a lot of times athletes will just go run into I've got practice, I got to go. All right, and then coach says, all right, today we're doing these things. We're outfield, we're hitting fly balls, we're doing this. Really working on the development of your focus will help with confidence and resilience with routines such as visualization, goal setting, positive self-talk, and perform. to perform your best under pressure, reining all this stuff in, having a mental approach to your practices, having a mental approach to your games and what you see yourself and how you see yourself delivering the outcome is going to be helpful in the long run. This is a real thing. Done visualization myself pitching before pitching in games, and I feel like it really helps define the outcome of the game. Do a little research or homework on the mental side of things, and that'll be helpful as well. Okay, guys, let's move on to the next one. Maintain your athleticism. Strong core muscles, flexibility, and overall fitness contribute directly to pitching effectiveness and injury prevention. So incorporate mobility and strength work as a part of your regular training routine. So I want to add in a little bit to this. Get a lot of younger athletes that I do training with. For instance, they don't know how to jump rope. So somewhere along the lines, and I'm sure you guys can agree watching this video if you have a younger athlete, I think it's the video game era stuff. So there's just not an emphasis in schools to do jump ropes and athletics things. I think, I don't know what it is anymore, but when I get guys, they don't move very well. They don't jump well. They don't move in lateral positions very well. And so what I'm saying is, let's build on the athleticism. Basketball is a very athletic sport. Movements, freedom of movements, right? Loose movements. So, maybe even just playing basketball a little bit on the side and practicing like an NBA player, juke moves and all that stuff. Those are athletic moving components. Light on your feet, right? So anyways, work on your athleticisms, whether it's doing speed, agility, and quickness training will help. There's a flood of information online that you can get that will help you build up your athleticism as an athlete, okay? And let's move on to 13. Get conditioning in 3 days a week. This is another thing that I think is missed. Maybe, or especially in the youth side, but at the high school and collegiate level, we can control that element a little bit more, especially in season. But in the youth ranks, the family dynamics are so busy that there's not always an emphasis to, hey, you need to get some running in today. I don't think young kids run enough, honestly. I can remember, and maybe you can too, being a young guy playing in the neighborhood, running all day long for hours at a time. We're playing tag, or we're playing football in the backyard, or we're doing something. We're just jogging, running all the time. So I think it will help with the overall athleticism of the athlete, conditioning, endurance, strength. All these things come up when you work on conditioning. And I'm not talking about just jogging or sprinting. I'm talking about just in general conditioning, jump ropes, anything like that, movements that's getting your heart rate elevated, building up your lung capacity, and ultimately building up your endurance as an athlete. So let's move on to the final deck, our final card. Okay. Visit the Arm Pitching Development channel for additional ideas. Okay, so I have a flood of information on the channel that I've recorded over the years, how to do med balls in season, or how to take care of your shoulder in season. Here's a workout. All these different types of things that you guys can grab off of the channel and work on them for free. The information is for free. Why not take it, right? And even if you don't like me as a coach, or the things that I provide in terms of recovery, strength, mobility, drills, find someone you do like, find a coach you do like, and do what they, if that's where you're at with things, then do their stuff, right? So find experts, find people you enjoy listening to or working with, and develop a plan for your season. So yeah, going back, guys, that's just how trying to keep yourself ready to pitch during the end season. This is some ideas for you. Okay, listen, I appreciate all of you for viewing today. I hope you found some value. If you did and you're new to the channel, consider subscribing for more pitching information, tips, drills, exercises, workouts as I provide them. And if you wouldn't mind on the way out hitting the thumbs up button for me. Really, guys, I appreciate all of you. And until I shoot the next video or record the next video session, keep learning, keep growing. You got this.